2, 1, and a reminder with no video intro. So here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, coming to you early this week because it's Nerdtacular week. With me, as always, is the awesome, the professionally Fergusson, Kyle.
How's it going, Garrett?
It's going okay. It's Tuesday, which is at like 11 at night for me, which is strange. Not that I'm that much of an old man, but it just feels very weird to be doing a podcast at this time.
Yeah, well, you are stealing yourself and all my Team League participants off to Nerdtacular this week, and I hope you're happy.
I'm not happy because you're not among your Team League participants or the other half of Into the Nexus that's attending.
That's true. I can't be sad about it, though. I got BlizzCon on my future.
Nice. Well, that's sweet, man. I mean, that's in my future, too, so I'm not jealous or anything. Basically, you have no excuse. You should be coming. Damn it. There's no excuse except money.
There you are. Luckily, Here's the Storm is a free-to-play game.
Yes, it is. Unless an event hits that makes you really want to buy some gems and get some sweet skins.
Yeah. A bit of an odd one, this. Certainly our first foray as heroes, I'd say whales for me, certainly, into an entirely new set of cosmetics that are locked behind certain kinds of chests. Though I think they're decently giving, right? Like, every chest you get that you unlock right now is a summer sun out, gun out box loot chest.
Yes, which is how Overwatch works it. So I was expecting it.
Okay.
So that doesn't surprise me really at all. And I also really
12 hours ago, people were joking that they were making the error of, oh, look at this guy. Isn't he funny? He's like pushing everything to barely leveled up. What a weirdo. He wakes up this morning feeling great.
Who? Just you sitting on chests?
No, not me. I'm sitting on too many chests that aren't summer boxes. But the guys who took their heroes to barely edge of level and now play a game tonight and get a chest, they're in a good spot.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had a couple games of Greymane today, who was a very, very low level hero for me, and I got some summer chests and got the bulge-tastic Tychus that I was hoping for.
Fantastic, congratulations. And it's important to note too that everything is craftable right now, and this event will go until the 24th, I heard, of June. So that gives us plenty of time to craft those things up to have the price reduce over that 2-week introduction period.
July, because it's June already.
Oh, did I mean July? Gosh, where did June go?
I have not looked up how far out this is extending, but also there's just no point for a news bumper at this point. We're into the big news of this week, which is the Suns Out Guns Out summer event. It has come, our first non-game universe specific event. I guess we've had Winter Veil and the Lunar New Year, but this is the first post 2.0 event where we're getting event-specific loot chests.
It feels a bit more industrialized than our previous, hey, remember Diablo? Oh, we're all such good fans.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well,
you lost me.
Our previous events were so based on the fandom. This is our first one that could be looking like a cash grab.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I guess I'll give you that. But it's also, there's not that much stuff with it, really, right? Like, Bikini Stitches we already had. Mm-hmm. Not new. So we basically got 2 new skins. Granted, there's varieties of them in Tracer and Tychus. And cloud mounts that are amazing, but aren't necessarily... Are the cloud mounts specifically summer?
They were part of Malthael, and I think they're the themed release Malthael mount, because Whimsyshire.
Gotcha.
So just like Samuro had that Hellbore thing going on, wherever that was from, Whimsyshire was his sort of tie-in.
Well, Samuro had an alternate skin that had armor motifs similar to the boar.
Oh, yeah, the Oni. So I guess that was Pandaria boars. I mean, there's a different kind of boar in every part of World of Warcraft, so it only seems fair.
There's no boars in Pandaria.
There aren't? Really? No, there's got to be a boar somewhere.
I mean, I'm sure there are boars, but they don't look a damn thing like that boar.
Well, then they breathe smoke and it comes out in those big whirly whirls like Hercules.
Okay. So then I'm not crazy. There's just not actually that much unique stuff, right?
No.
Okay. Surfboards. Sorry. Surfboards are the unique mount.
Yes. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of kinds of surfboards.
Right. Yeah, I do kind of really want the one with the bite taken out of it.
And there's many versions of it.
Yep. And then we've got portraits and we've got sprays. And they're really well illustrated and I actually want them horribly. But it's not, I'm not going to run it. When Halloween comes around, Kyle, I'm going to be a poor man because I know they're going to do something like this. Like they did in Overwatch. That, by the way, the Halloween event in Overwatch was the only time I put money into that game besides buying the game itself.
That was a really good event, though, and it had that PvE sort of brawl going on.
Yes, but you didn't have to pay money for that. I literally just went in and bought a big fat stack of loot chests because I wanted the sweet Halloween skins because I am a Halloween nerd. So when Halloween comes around in Heroes, I'm sure it'll be the same thing again. I'll be blowing a bunch of money trying to collect all of the Halloween skins. So this one, I don't know. It just seems tame, I guess, specifically in the amount of random things there are to grab out of loot chests.
Right. They're the same price as normal loot chests. They're temporary. Everything is craftable inside them with shards. Every summer loot chest is a normal loot chest that has a chance to get a summer item, so you're not guaranteed a summer item inside of it. You know, buyer beware, but other than that, it's a free-to-play game, and I'm just happy to have more content, more sweet sprays, many of them animated. That Zool spray, man, when he's just sitting in the middle of all the dead fish looking proud of himself. There's so many good ones in there.
There's a lot of very solid ones. I think my favorite might be Malthael relaxing in like a bathrobe on the beach under a black and purple umbrella, but he still has his hood shape even though he's in a bathrobe.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's perfect. It's got that Raven sort of Teen Titans Day at the Beach feel to it. Everyone's having a great time, and there's emo Malthael over in the corner. Complaining about who knows what. His parents are rich. He does great damage. He's top of MMR like hot slogs, but he's still just bummed as hell.
I've had IT Crowd on in the background today while I was packing, and it was the episode where they where Jen discovers Richmond the Goth living in the server.
I didn't know Cradle of Filth was a real band when I watched that show.
Really? Oh my God! Stop! Because we're gonna get off topic. We're just gonna get off topic. And I'm just going to stop there, but I'm glad that you know they're a real band.
I love that guy. Well, but Moss is my favorite. I mean, Gulf, fire.
I wish I could have been there when you heard Cradle of Filth for the first time. Back to the Suns Out, Guns Out summer event. Of the small amount of skins that came in, are there any that you absolutely have to have?
Not at the moment.
No.
Give Tygus' range back, and I'm all over that biz.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So I was on earlier, played a couple games with Greyman, got a couple chests, got my I got the Power Briefs Tychus, but the pink variant, not the orange and blue one, which is the one I wanted because it's absurd. And I already have the pink heart mount, and when you put them on that, you're the envy of everyone at the beach.
Nice. I heard that sadly the Odin doesn't have a custom version on that skin.
No, it doesn't, and that is most sad. Also, the drill does not. The drill should be a giant freaking super soaker, man.
Yeah, and Odin just covered in like lifeguard equipment. It looked great. What about, remember those backpacks? Like, there was the kids that would show up to water fights with, like me, they'd have I had this ice thing. I don't know why it was made in the first place, but the top was huge so you could load ice into it. So that you could shoot people with cold water, get them. But there's those kids who had the backpack ones. You know what I'm talking about?
I believe I do. I never had one.
And they were at it for like half an hour getting that thing pumped up.
Well, that's what you did. You just kept pumping until you could feel the plastic start to bend and want to snap, so that when you actually shot it, it was a pressure washer and you left bruises.
Exactly. That's how you know you hit them.
You know how to summer. But that it's funny you brought up the range because after I got the skin, I had to go play one more game, which brought me within 10 minutes of start time of this show. So I was like, oh, shoot, wrap this up. It's the first game I played on Tychus in a long time. There was an Artanis on the other team. And I came to a realization about something on Tychus, Kyle, that he taught me a bad habit that I didn't realize where it came from until just now playing Tychus again for the first time in a while. It was that I could attack tanks and it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's a tricky road, and it's so tempting. One of the sort of joke articles that was posted this last week on Reddit was a guide to gold. And it was making jokes about, how killing heroes is worth 10 points, destroying a fort or taking the objective is worth -2. So that's why people in gold just avoid it in the first place. It was all just a big joke. But one of the things they brought up was killing the tank and how everyone there yells, Focus Morales, never hit the tank. But it's true. And once you find out what sort of comp falls apart when the tank goes down, you can make some pretty awesome moves as well as some serious mistakes. I was in a game last week where I was up against Team Freedom Zugrug, and nothing could have prepared me to fight a professional Muradin. But their team was squishy as heck. When I killed Muradin, everything fell apart. I killed him 3 times. I was damn proud of myself. But focusing the Muradin as Greymane probably led to the victory, or the victory on the enemy side in the end.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not necessarily your job. Had there been a Tychus on your team,
or a Tassadar.
Yep. Yeah, just stand in the back and fire off.
Yeah.
Don't do any of the things that I did in the one game I played on your stream yesterday.
Oh, that was just for fun, man. There's been a lot of stress. So yesterday I jumped on my stream and just did for fun games, and we all just hung out, and it was a great time. We won the majority of them without comms or anything. There's a lot of people who are very upset with matchmaking right now, and it's important to take those times and say, it's for fun. Let's play the video game.
Right. Find the fun, because otherwise, why are you playing it?
Yeah.
If you get too much in your own head, you're gonna kill the fun. If you let it become a job, really.
Yeah.
Which is, oh my God, I'm suddenly realizing why so many pro Hearthstone streamers are so salty.
It's true. And I remember the first time I walked out on a raid, and I only ever did it the one time because I quit very soon after. It was King. What was his name in Gruul's Lair?
In Gruul's Lair?
Probably
there were only
time.
2, and it wasn't Gruul.
Yeah,
so
the other guy. It was the King that you were supposed to just wipe out super fast because you did it a billion times. And I get in the raid for the night, and we wipe 5 times on this guy. And I just left, and I decided right then and there that I would never play a game that I didn't want to ever again. It served me well.
That's nuts. Yeah, I remember doing that, and never being briefed on that boss, and it's still just going swimmingly.
Oh.
Huh. All right. Yeah, I can feel it. I've been there too. I've definitely done the Ethernet plug pull. You know, just it went out. I don't know what happened, and then swapped to Horde and never went back to that guild again.
So I mean, I message them. I post on the forums, "Hey guys, can't take this anymore. I'm in college. I want to spend some time with my girlfriend before summer's over." But you were just out completely.
I'm simplifying for the sake of non-heroes talk on internet.
Fair enough.
Basically, there was more to it than that, but that was the beginning of the end.
Well, it's important to note that this may not be the end of the week's updates. Whenever we've had just content, not a hero, come out on a Tuesday, there is a chance that there will be a balance update on the following Wednesday, tomorrow. Rumor around right now, and this is just rumor and scuttlebutt, it's going to be a Morales rework, a Genji, and a Malthael nerf. Could be true, could be entirely made up.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that. This is going to be. This is why this is going to be a different show, right? Because we're doing it early. There hasn't been any really new thing happening in the game outside of the promotion, which is just skins, mounts, and whatnot. So it's very likely that this show will get posted. Tomorrow, you all will be downloading it and listening to it, and at the same time looking at patch notes on the Heroes website. So let me know how it is. I'll be on a plane.
Yeah, and if you find yourself lost in that environment, you can always check out Solo QA Podcast. Little show I do. I post it maybe once a month. Little rundown of my personal thoughts as I run through updates that may come out on a weird day of the week. So you can get your IT and goodness there this week.
I like that. I like that quite a bit. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the news this week. Don't have much else to say there other than I'm really stoked that somehow I managed to get the one skin I wanted right out the gate, because that never happened to me in Overwatch, and I still don't have the Diablo skin I was hoping for at 2.0's launch.
That's not to say we don't have something very important to do today, though.
No, we do not. We are going to be doing some roster building in our strategy segment. But before we get to that, let's thank our patrons, Kyle, because we have patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. Many of you over there supporting this very podcast with your hard-earned dollars. We like to refer to you as our bosses, which means we have 450 bosses. Oh my God, an even number today. That's awesome. That's a lot of bosses, but you're all very nice. We have producers, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Mythdoll, who are super badass, and we need to thank them every episode. And on this episode, we want to thank Jerome R, Chris B, Joshua H, Sleepy and Lazy, hey, I see you in there, and Elliot S. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. And if you're out there and you're listening and you're not a patron, and you dig the show, and you've been thinking, I'd like to support these two chuckleheads, well, the Patreon's the best way to do so. And if you're out there and you're listening and you really like the show and you're thinking to yourself, I'm a broke-ass college student, I can't afford it, totally fine.
That's why you're playing a free-to-play game. In fact, I will say one more thing. If you're a bit frustrated with some things out there, you like some cool people to hang with, people who stand on the objective, that's a good thing. You should /join AMove TV inside the game. There's a lot of awesome people who need good buddies to play with.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a good channel in there. Lots of good people to get in and into games with. If I should finish my sentences, that would be good. And yeah. Well, Kyle, shall we do it? Shall we get into the roster building segment of this week?
Let's do it.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Impressive work, hero. I think you're ready for more.
All right, Kyle. So we did this a while back, actually, I believe last season. And this is based off of a tip that you give frequently anytime we talk about getting into Hero League, for the first time or for a new season or after a break. It's to sit down with a notepad, like and a pen, like if you want to do it physical, like with you can do it on your computer, you can do it any way you want. Say it to yourself in your sleep before you go to bed at night, like Arya. Whatever you want to do, you want to write down every single battleground and then write down your picks for that battleground. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Specifically, we're going to be figuring out, for me, slightly odd timing because I'm about to go away to Utah where I will not be able to play Heroes. I will be, I'm sure, talking a lot of Heroes with because the entire crew of the core, I believe, is going to be out there. And a bunch of other nerds that play Heroes of the Storm. But as I mentioned last week, I've been just playing so much quick match, so much unranked, even the occasional team league, but it's always kind of wacky. And even in team league, you have other people to lean on, to talk to help fill the gaps, as it were. I've fallen out of practice, and I really want to go back through this exercise before heading into Hero League again for this season. So, Kyle, do you have the graphic on hand?
Let's put it up. For those listening to the radio version of this show, we are making a little bit of an image so that we can sort through Garrett's heroes and divide them up by the map. Up top here, I have all the sort of elements that relate to each one of the maps. A lane clear symbol, globals, bribe if it's powerful there. Check it out over at youtube.com/AMoveTV.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll also be saying everything that we're
as though a radio show should.
It will work for the predominantly audio only base of this podcast. So, do you have an order you'd like to go in?
Absolutely. I'm ready to dig into this thing. I've done this a few times. Being a Heroes of the Storm coach, rosters are really important. You should picture it. You should get out a piece of paper right now and join us for this exercise. It's a lot of fun to do. First of all, like building a deck. And it's going to be real darn useful because once you get in there, you're going to be seduced. You're going to see something that you may think is cute. And you might go, you know what? All right, I will let that guy take a Nubarak instead of me. And you did it wrong. You're a better Nubarak, right? Aren't you? That's why you're playing Hero League in the first place, because you think your rank should be a little higher, that number should move a little bit, correct? You're not trying to purposely move it down.
Or stay the same. What insanity is that?
Well,
I am here to go nowhere.
Actually, to bring that up, I got the pleasure of playing with one of our community members, Twammy and Nitty, on my stream today, doing some team league with Master Leaguers. I thought it was just going to be Masters for the day. Twammy actually showed up at 182 Grandmaster, so I got to play alongside him today.
Nice.
And I will tell you that he got there with a 53% win rate. There is no secret serum. There is no grass is greener. There's no OP pick, though he did do a lot of it with Tassadar, so that may have made it easier. But still, 53%. If it's positive, you go up, and it doesn't look much better than that. When I got Masters on Tychus, 58%. And that's pretty damn good. So we are just aiming to break 50 to give you the edge over a bunch of random people.
Yep. And this will be tailored for everyone. You should not just blind pick what we're picking here.
Exactly. These are Garrett's picks. So let's start right where we should. This is all about making things easy to make it look like you're winning from the start. Imagine everyone is tilted out there. Groundhog's Day. Bill Murray wakes up. First day, he gives it a good shot. Second day, he's a little confused. By day 7, he's trying some new things. Every single person on Earth, given Bill Murray's situation in Groundhog's Day, would eventually become a troll. Everybody's a troll. You just have to make them feel like they're winning.
That's such a perfect analogy. By day 6, you're punching Ned the head in the face.
And everyone would react that way. And for me, I choose to troll by learning new things. I'm going to try out Curse Bullet on the Dragon Knight. It didn't work. That's interesting to me. I learned something new. Can I take this Merc Camp by myself on this hero that doesn't Merc Camp? But either way, everyone has their breaking point. Let's make sure during this trying time that you are picking something hopefully early game and that immediately hits the field with an impact. But we have to answer the very first question. What is your first pick? Hands down, map ignored, you need a first pick. Everyone out there, what is it? What is your best non-counterable hero? Most of these are going to be meta picks. They'll also be heavy ban picks. Right now, these really pertain to Malthael, Tassadar, Uther, Genji, and a Nubarak being some of the meta things. But a nice Vala also informs a comp and isn't heavily countered. Sylvanas informs a comp, isn't heavily countered. Nazebo used to be a really safe early pick, now is only a safe pick on long game maps. If you take him on Hanamura, you're going to have a bad time. If you take him on Braxis, it could go okay, but you'll probably have a bad time.
All right, so let's go through it. So a Nubarak, I'm very happy with.
Perfect.
Very comfortable with playing. Uther,
cool.
Totally fine. Still feels super strange the first pick of support, but I completely understand why. Tassadar, I would like to add to that list. Malthael, I would just say, yeah, sure. Let's just add that to my first pick list.
And just pass right over that Genji.
Screw Genji. I have no interest in maining Genji anytime soon.
Awesome. You have some really strong first picks here then, as well as other options that are available out there to you. Greymane, Artanis, these are all fine first picks. Something that just isn't giving away the negative side of your comp.
Okay. All right. By the way, after Greymane and Quick Match today, I'm thinking I should probably consider picking Greymane in a more serious environment.
It ain't a bad idea. He really... Your spec is always the same right now. It's always Gilnea's Cocktail, but that means that you have sufficient poke to remain in human form if for some reason you can't dive. Greymane is a really fantastic character where you can adjust your own playstyle to meet the enemy team rather than the draft pick or talents.
Yeah, he still adjusts, but it's specifically in your playstyle, not so much in your talent picks.
Probably not what Blizzard wants. There's a good 50-50 split, though, on Curse Bullet and Go for the Throat.
Yes. Yes, which, by the way, I've just been blind picking Go for the Throat. So little bonus mini Greymane section here. When should I make the other... why should I be taking Go for the Throat? When should I be taking either? is basically my question.
So Go for the Throat is informed by certain characters these days more than anything else. You're going to be targeting down a Falstad, a Vala, a Sylvanas, something that you feel you can burst through the healing, or that might be on an off angle and not receiving the type of healing it needs to keep going. So Falstad, Sylvanas. Picture the Morales in the comp. That beam is connected to Vala. You're probably not going to kill Vala, but you can take one of the side ones.
Gotcha. I'm hearing damage dealers that always escape is what I'm hearing for Go for the Throat.
However, Curse Bullet just does everything, and it does what your Go for the Throat does. You just have to hit a smaller target, or it's not in front. Curse Bullet is going to be the majority of your picks. Plus, as we talked about at the start of the show, in lower leagues, when the tank falls apart, everything falls apart. Particularly if the tank gets scared. Too. He doesn't even have to die in lower leagues. If the tank is scared, he's going to run for it, and everyone will be out of position.
Yeah. The tank signaling the retreat is always a delight.
And often leaves somebody out, and Kael'thas overextends past him now that he's retreating, and things go well.
Yep. Okay, so cool. I think I'd also throw Sylvanas in there, because in my league, I'm still seeing her banned.
It's important to note when we talk about your first pick here, this is regardless of map. Yeah, Zul, Nazebo, Blackheart's Bay, Asmodan, Zagara, Hanamura. Fine first picks. Ariel, Gul'dan, Braxis. Great. What we're really looking for in a very first pick is a popular hero, so you take a pick away from the enemy team. Thrall,
right.
Cassia, great first picks. Nothing wrong with them. The likelihood that someone is maining Thrall these days, pretty low. Likelihood that someone's manning Cassia, well, outside of the A-Move chat, is pretty low.
Yeah, we have some serious Cassia fanboys and fangirls over in A-Move. Myself among them. I love Cassia, and I've been cleaning up with her lately, but you're absolutely right. I don't think you're limiting anyone's options on the other team by picking Cassia.
Exactly. And Vala will always be fought over, and if you think you're the better Vala, control her.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So that's the other conversation around these first picks is like your Anubarax, your Uthers, your Malthaels, your Tassadars, your Genjis, and even your Valas. These are the type of heroes that I feel you should be prepared to play if you are in the first pick area, but it's not going to be your main hero because you're not going to get first pick every game, and it's very unlikely that these heroes are going to go later into the draft.
The nice thing about many of these heroes too is that they start to inform a comp. Vala needs enough beef and healing to make it a Vala comp, then she can really carry. Be careful with a Nubarak, though. You may take a Nubarak and realize that you're now solo tank, which can be scary if you don't have Uther or double support. And you may not have accompanying dive, which means you're going to be very lonely and exposed if the enemy team has enough sustained damage.
Absolutely. Well, in that type of scenario, you just never use your burrow to engage, right?
Right.
You just Muradin that stuff. Just keep it on cool, keep it ready, like Dwarf Toss.
We need to address one more thing. This is an optional in some degrees, but it is going to come up in every Hero League player's career out there. Who's your stealthy? There's going to be a chance.
Like off the top of my head, without even thinking, it's Valera.
Okay, at least you have one picked out. There will be a game that comes where they went Johanna, Morales, and then 3 of the squishiest darn things you've ever seen. And you need to be able to maneuver in there because you might be last pick.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can zero tool in a pinch as well. And in that scenario you just described, I'm thinking like, man, I think zero tool is the only option because that's the only one I feel I'm actually gonna be able to win a fight with a full health hero that's behind a Johanna with that type of healing.
Zeratul is touted as the most powerful stealthy by pros for good reason: the stickiness, the damage, the escape, the team fight ability.
Right.
The other question you need to answer for yourself is, where do you like to be? Would you rather be solo lane or in the 4 stack?
I would rather be in the 4 stack.
And everyone's going to have a different answer. It has nothing to do with your own skills. Just some people are bullies, really like that solo lane. Some people are, like me, don't trust the solo laner to get the job done, so I want it. And then there's some people that just don't want to be anywhere near that solo lane because really the action's happening down in the bottom, and that's where you can get the carrying done. All of those are correct thoughts.
I don't have enough hero. Like if it's a Zagara map, my answer changes because I feel so strong in my capabilities on Zagara that I'd like to go and be the bully. But I don't feel that my capabilities on other solo lane heroes are up to snuff.
There we run into a really interesting scenario where your solo lane pick is tilting to some outside of its main map, which we're thinking of Hanamura here. If you went Zagara on Braxis, my initial thought is, yeah, bring it, man. I'm all about, wait a minute. Then the thoughts begin of, that's a little squishy for body on the pad. There's only 2 lanes, and we interact with them a lot, so the creep is going to be cleaned up all the time. There could be issues.
I mean, Braxis is not a map where I would be vying for Zagara. I said a Zagara map, not a solo lane map.
Sure.
Yeah. No.
It's just
Braxis, let me put it this: Braxis, I have 0 interest, I think, probably for the rest of my life in ever being in the solo lane on Braxis.
Fair enough, and I'm glad you have that opinion because it means when it comes time to draft and people say, are you solo? You say, no.
You do not want me up there.
That is good. I'm happy you've identified that for yourself. All right, those are the side questions. Let's get into the meat, the maps. Cursed Hollow being first up. This is a mid to late game map, globals, lane clear, and poke, as well as some boss interactions. Now, Cursed Hollow being our oldest map means that sneaking a boss is pretty hard to do these days, but can still be done. But this does mean you have more legitimacy to Holy Ground Tyrael, Mighty Gust, Emerald Wind Brightwing, anything that can steal a boss. These are where you're finding your key areas.
Huh. What if, in my experience, your team is never on time to affect a boss that has been decided?
Then, then we're talking about individual skills a little bit. We can think maybe Zeratul, maybe a Global, maybe Dahaka. But you know what? Who I really, really like on Cursed Hollow? Tyrande.
Really?
I wouldn't ever play her. I'm not a fan of the kit. I think it's weird. But the mere fact that I can send one Al from the boss that we're currently taking to their boss is just a ridiculous tool. My team league runs medevac on this map almost every time right now. Just so we can do one boss and then fly to the other. Or realize the boss is going and fly to it.
I think realizing a boss and flying to it seems stronger to me than using it to fly to another boss, because so often if you get one boss, you're going to get the second one. And if you don't get the second one, that means they're engaging it and you're going to win the fight on the second one and just get it later.
Those are special scenarios, but they are going to come up. Just like on Sky Temple, we'll get to that in a bit. But really.
That being said, you just sold me on Tyrande because she's been one of my old faves for the longest time, but I just haven't found the place for her. And also, I feel like I picked Tyrande even in this scenario where I'm going to Cursed Hollow, and I understand why I'm doing it and everything. I think I'm still picking her and screaming, "Get another support" to my entire team.
Right, and then you're leaving that up to them, which they may not do. So not a hero league pick. We go ahead and take that nice and down into the team league or playing with friends department.
I'm gonna put that in. I'm in last pick on Cursed Hollow, and I've seen them already take a warrior and a support.
That works as well, though you may tilt your team.
Fair enough. I may preface it with some typing like, "Hey guys, what do you think about Tyrande here?"
Knowing you and your play styles and what you play and what you're good at, I would put you on Li Ming here. She's been a little out of style, but the poke of Li Ming really does win out on Cursed Hollow because it is outside of lane. There's nothing to really interact with you. I do believe, actually, that, one, give her a little bit of lane clear and she'd be amazing again. But if Anubarak receives any sort of nerfs in the future, Li Ming will come bouncing right on back.
I think so as well. And she's already one of my top picks for Cursed Hollow for that very reason. I like just being annoying on Cursed Hollow. It's one of my favorite, not being a bully, being a pest. And Li Ming lets me do that. And that's one of the reasons you've sold me even more on Tyrande, because yes, Sentinel is fantastic for scouting out the boss, but it's also fantastic for denying tribute channels.
Now let's work through your other objective. We've got a really good poke character picked out. We could use a good global and some sort of lane clear, because of course Li Ming is not that.
Okay. I still like Zagara on Cursed Hollow.
Sure, that's good. It's good poke, good damage. Practice that Nidus up. It's real good there.
Yeah. It's a place where I can go and just take care of whatever lane is being neglected. Still have the poke for the tribute. Go maw if I really have to bring something to the team fight.
Excellent.
But what am I not thinking of? What here? Because I'm looking at Cursed Hollow and I'm seeing nothing being taken away from that. Although I guess we just keep referring back to the first picks. If I'm in first pick, I just grab Malthael or a Nubarak or something.
Exactly. A whole different scenario comes up, but here we're making an informed pick based on the map. We're unsure. Probably the best way to think of this would be that you are the dead middle pick. You were first pick team, so you're going to pick 3, and you only see 2 of theirs. You have no idea what they're going yet. The only information you're working on is possibly some sort of comp coming together, but your hero for the map you're playing on.
Gotcha. And then I might also put a Falstad in here if I had to find someone else.
I like that a lot because Zagara's globalness comes online at 10. Falstad's globalness is always ready, and he can still take that level 1 mercenary camp talent, Wingman. So it's a great way if you notice that your team doesn't look like it's going to make it to the late game. Falstad over Zagara would be a great pick.
Awesome. Well, let's move on then.
Dragon Knight. Late game map. Can be mid game, but for the most part, always late game. A little snowbally in some ways, though, if they keep taking those early objectives. Global's extremely powerful as the point is divided in 2. Percent-based damage does well here. I'm talking Drain Hope out of a Leoric. I'm talking Minigun. I'm talking late-game Tassadar. And point control. You ain't going to win this map unless you can actually stand on that pad for some period of time.
Yes. So, point control is... I'm trying to think. I think point control might be one of my weaker areas.
That is perfectly understandable. We have had a lot of maps come in that play with the idea of point control. It's an almost old thought, but then we had Braxis. And Braxis is in a weird place right now because you can draft to win the point or you can draft to lose, which is kind of funny. A lot of people overvalue, and it is powerful, lane clear on Braxis, but they find themselves instead with a Gul'dan and a Kael'thas on the exact same team with no body to actually stand on the point at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, and I guess, so who would you consider point control? Because when I think point control for me, I think of my mages, my Jaina, my Kael'thas, but it's not lasting point control until later in the game for Kael'thas, and Jaina's is always, it's fleeting throughout the entire game. At no point can she really hold a point for an extended period of time.
Right, you are confusing poke and lane, or poke and point control. Poke is when you need to interrupt an objective repeatedly, like a channeled curse, a tribute. It does come into play on Dragon Knight because you do have to channel that middle, but if you're fighting at the middle, things are already going a little nutty.
Gotcha. So I guess I was thinking more about zone control with something like Blizzard, but it's just once you use it, it's on a long cooldown and it's pointless again.
Right. What you would instead want is something like Zul'jin, Tychus, Leoric, somebody who says, this is my range, and if you try to force into it, it's a big problem for you. Or you do something really big and hefty and just sit on it and no one can get in.
Okay, gotcha. So you're mistake makers. You know, just come on in if you want. You'll be making a mistake, but let's do this.
Exactly.
So you're duelists, is what it's sounding like.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why now currently Leaping Strike is the go-to talent because of the mid-season brawl. As funny as that is to think how offended everyone would have been just a couple months ago. But Lunara has a really good view of this. Leaping Strike is your dueling talent to 1v1 somebody. If you're doing team fights, you would want Thornwood Vine. Not the case anymore, but it's a great example.
Right. Okay. So with that in mind, I'm not sure. Arthas, I guess, is my, come at me, bro, hero.
Solid. Holds that point. Does slow people on the point a little bit. Has no way to push them off. But a great character, particularly at level 10, with his ghouls, to just hunker down and make it last.
Yeah, and he has surprise. His damage I still find his damage surprising enemy players that come in and don't respect the damage output of Arthas. And again, going back to kind of the Warrior Bruiser pile, Sonya is another hero I enjoy playing quite a bit, and obviously kind of has the survivability to hang around for a while.
I like this. We're going to try to put you on Sonya for quite a few things because of her Merc ability. While this isn't a Merc-intensive map, in fact, this map is really hard in Hero League to get someone to relieve you so you can do Mercs. Having that capability is really powerful, and that's why I like Nazeebo so much, and Zul'jin. Anybody who can at least take a giant camp by themselves.
How do you feel about stealthies on Dragonshire? Do you feel you're leaving too much up to your teammates so that you can come and just roam and be the ganker?
I think stealthies work well on Hanamura because the objective is ever moving, so the shimmer can sort of hide it out. If you, sort of like Valeera doing her smoke bomb, we all know where Valeera is, we just have to wait for her to come out.
Right. I was talking Dragonshire.
I know. I'm talking about, like, if a stealthy's on the point, blow up the point until they reveal themselves.
Well, yeah. I mean, that it wasn't so much as a point taker. It was as kill guarantees that just show up to help whoever is currently already on the point on your team.
Do it with a global instead.
Fair enough.
Teleport in with a Brightwing, fly in with a Falstad, be that Dahaka.
How am I really getting kills teleporting in as a Brightwing?
Emerald Wind does a lot of damage, but really timely polymorphs and helping people and auto attacks. She's got good auto attacks. Someone's got to heal.
I have sworn off Brightwing in Hero League for 2 seasons now.
Her stock is down, and people are just hating on her. It's sad. I'm doing it too, but that's because Malthael and Genji are the meta right now, and they need... Well, Malthael just kind of does what he wants, but Genji needs a little topping off that Brightwing cannot supply.
I'm not hating on Brightwing at all. I'm hating on my teammates when I'm on Brightwing.
Maybe our engages from a dive meta are too aggressive for the poke that Brightwing would prefer.
Yeah, maybe. So, okay. All right. Anything else you think I should work on as homework for Dragonshire?
I think this is pretty good. I think we're going to find that the rest of these may not have a actual map pick for you. There's plenty of map picks out there. Tried to work you onto a little bit of Dahaka there, a little bit of Falstad, but it ain't sticking, so let's move on.
Okay.
This is how this should go. These are your personal picks. You are playing this game for fun. If you do not have fun on the character you're playing, why are you playing the video game? We are not playing for cash grabs here. Play what you want, be passionate, you'll become a good player.
I'm always down for a Falstad. I hate Dahaka. I can't say I'm playing him.
Cool. Well, let's give you Falstad and move right on to Blackheart's Bay, one of our very pure maps in some ways. Mid-game map, but very snowball-y. Granted, snowball is just saying the team that was winning deserves to win. Merc camps, poke to get that objective and stop it, but that doesn't really come in if you're actually controlling the Merc camps, the whole map. Double soak is an option here, so always good to have that available depending on your league, probably platinum and above. And a coin bank can be useful as well. This is a little outdated style, but basically you would have your tank or something hefty like an Asmodan actually pick up the coins. So when fights break out, at least someone with some survivability and some health behind them wouldn't be dropping them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I already have my favorite hefty heroes to the left in Dragonshire, in Arthas and Sonya.
Cool. Sonya certainly able to really just go off at that 2-minute mark and start taking some camps by herself. You will have to wait a few levels for bruisers and that sort of thing, but the giants come online right at that 2-minute, and then you can grab up all the little flags. Let's get you a double soaker in the top.
I like Nazeebo. I feel comfortable taking him in Hero League now, and I think I might be there on Zul. It's untested. It's untested in a draft environment.
Zul is not complicated. He 1v1s very few people, so your decision-making process as to whether you should stick around on Zul is very easy. Run.
Yeah. Is my team with me and is Poison Nova ready? Cool. Otherwise, run.
In this particular map, It should not be Poison Nova, though.
Oh, I'm so bad with mages.
The mages, it does have radial, like Alarak now. That was an update a while ago. It helps a lot. You can click and drag where you want this thing to go.
Oh, okay.
Helps
Fantastic.
out a lot. You should only really be doing Poison Nova if you are up against really bad multi-person healers, or if you're wicked behind and you see no way of getting those mages out with them having any survivability.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sky Temple, one of the most religious maps in terms of merc camp grabs and how we rotate around it, just because those first two objectives pop in the exact same order every single time. This often is a mid-game to late-game map. We need point control. In fact, we need 2 point control heroes at some times. Merc camps are extremely powerful, as I mentioned, and there is that boss in the middle, so any sort of thing, like I mentioned, Mighty Gust, Emerald Wind, Holy Ground, whatever you got that's cute to steal a boss, it will come up in Sky Temple.
What do you think about I don't know about on Sky Temple specifically, but just along this entire chat here, be thinking about Butcher in the back of your head because I've been enjoying him so damn much. But on Sky Temple, I'm trying to break my pattern, because anytime I need to just throw down, have health, survive, I always come back to Sonya and Arthas.
Nothing wrong with that. In fact, the more of these heroes that are the exact same across your board means the more likely they are to actually be practiced.
Yeah. Whereas, even actually, and this is just this. I don't know, and I feel I should know the answer to this. Was just because it's a hero I have not really played until very recently. But I want Tassadar to come into the fold. What do you think about Tassadar for just holding points?
For holding points, he's going to do just fine. After level 4, your auto attacks heal you so much with that 90% talent pickup that you can be your own agent. Sight will help you stay safe in the times if you get nervous. You've got storms you can put out in the area to at least dismount people as they come in on you.
Yeah,
And
I feel like Tassadar, even though I'm unpracticed, should just come together relatively easily, because it's just about landing freaking auto attacks, and beyond that it's like, I don't know, place your circle and shield yourself.
And here's an even greater advantage. I just mentioned that you might want double tank on this. Guess what Tassadar is really good against? Double tank. So I say go for it.
All right, very cool. I think I just might be taking the plunge with Tassadar.
Do it, man. Do it. I've gotten some good feedback from people saying Tassadar is the way to be right now.
Cool. Very cool.
Infernal Shrines, late game. Usually. Unless I get Sylvanas and things go very wrong.
Sylvanas absolutely on this, by the way, if I'm first pick.
She is currently limping her way into the second ban phase on Infernal Shrines. So absolutely, you will be able to get her, because people are more scared of things like Malthael at the moment.
Thank you, Reaper. Okay, so what else on Infernal Shrines?
We got objective clear. Building destruction is helpful so we can get through that wall to the actual Immortal, but of course, Sylvanas arrows, Syndragosa out of Arthas, those sort of thing. Merc camps are very powerful here because it is such a wide map. There's opportunities to get value while they push. The objective brings everyone together, which means those mercenaries push uncontested. If someone reports them, you've got yourself a 5v4 situation in the top, and that's fantastic. One thing we're really looking for here on objective clear, though, is we have to balance our burst and our sustain. Kael'thas, for example, everyone runs Convection right now. And on Infernal Shrines, that in fact is a bit of an error. The game goes so long that, first of all, Convection will lose its sort of viability as the game goes, because that damage spike is only as powerful as you can get it into the early game. Secondly, if you do Convection and don't take something like Netherwind, you are going to be horrifically out of mana, because you're not taking free living bombs, you're trying to make big flame strikes. This is a very common error. Make sure you have enough sustain, or build Kael'thas in a more mana addict, sustainy way that he can participate in this objective from skull number 1 to the end.
This is my Kael'thas map too, by the way.
It's
because I've never been a Convection fan. I hate playing the Convection build. So sign me up.
Awesome. And it's a good time to move off, man. Unless you are in the 4-1 lane. This is, of course, Hanamura, Braxis at the moment being the religious ones. If you're in that 4-lane, Convect. Guess what? It's a 2-lane map. It's going to be a short game. Convection's amazing. You probably got an Ariel healing you, too. You're just deathballing down there.
Yep. Anything else I should be looking at on Infernal Shrines?
We got a little bit of Merc damage. We got some lane clear. Let's get you a good sustain. Let's say someone else takes Kael'thas and you need to clean up.
Tassadar?
Tassadar can do it. Storm helps clean up. He's got a lot of sustain, a great auto attack nowadays. Funny how some Carbot videos are already too moldy and oldie making fun of Tassadar's damage of just a few months ago.
Yeah. I would say Greymane with the asterisk of I need to get a Kyle coaching lesson. Make sure you look at it. Make sure I'm not making any huge mistakes because I'm pretty unpracticed with him. But
sure,
he was feeling real good in the old quick match.
Super solid picks there. And then of course we've got your well, actually, who is your support? If you end up on support, what's the answer?
I don't want to support anymore. I'm so sick of
all right,
supporting.
that's
Trust
fine. That's 100% fine because you're willing to tank, and you're willing to tank on Arthas.
And I'm willing to first pick Uther because that's who I like healing on, and yeah.
Cool, no problems then. Let's move on to Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Very cool.
Late game, lane clear, double soak, absolutely viable. But I had said instead of double soak, I would say a pace maker. That's not right. A trend setter, maybe? No.
A pace setter.
Yeah, there you go. Let's combine those two phrases.
The conductor. You set the tempo.
Yeah, there you go.
A drummer.
Vision
A
of the objective. Survivability. This would be that coin purse we talked about earlier. And solo lane. One of the best picks here is Johanna, to sort of what I'm talking about. Johanna pulls everything together. Flame strikes come out. Gems drop. Johanna, with her huge survivability, her unkillableness, picks up the gems and sets the pace. We head into the top, do it there, head into the mid, do it again, and sets the rotation, collecting up all those gems in a very safe coin purse.
That is all very well and good. And now that you're done putting out general knowledge, I would like you to stack as many Zagaras under that picture of Spider Queen as you possibly can.
It's a great old school pick. It gives a great solo laner. It gives some sight to the objective. It has great siege.
I love you. Yeah, this is my go-to Zagara map. Obviously, if I'm in first pick, I'm not gonna first pick Zagara. I'm not gonna do that to my team. They're gonna lose their friggin' minds. I'll grab something from over on the right side of the screen. I'll grab an Uberak, a Tassadar, an Uther, a Malthael. But this is my Zagara map.
I'm just gonna put on a Kael'thas for you.
Yep, totally fine. Let's do it.
And let's go ahead and take advantage of maybe a little bit of Syndragos Arthas in there.
Okay. I also like Sylvanas here. I like shutting off the buildings when we've got things up against the wall.
Sure. The problem with Sylvanas on this particular map is that the lanes are extremely wide, so your escape options are limited because the chances that a Haunting Wave will take you to somewhere safer are very low.
I hear that.
That's not to say, though, that Sylvanas won't kick butt and you'll win there. Actually, my only ever Sylvanas Hero League game is on this map, and I won it.
Nice. Very nice. Very, very clearly, enough games to make a decision.
Exactly. An informed decision based off of all the information available.
If you don't know the stats, it's a 100% win rate.
It's true. It is. We've already talked about it a little bit, but let's move into our 2-lane maps here.
Alrighty.
Braxis, Holdout being the first one. Point control. Lane clear, but not too much or you might lose on purpose. There's also some boss interactions to be mindful of, particularly Genji. Let's ban him.
All right, get him out of there.
Or pick him. You want to pick Genji? You want to play some Genji? You want to practice up some Genji?
Never. And also, we're assuming I'm first pick.
Yes.
Yeah, no Genji. And for the love of God, ban Azmodan, please.
On Braxis?
Oh, I thought we were talking Hanamura. I'm sorry.
No, we're talking about the Braxis boss at the moment. But yeah, you're right about Azmodan there.
Yeah, I apologize. I was looking at your graphic at the top.
No worries. You don't want to be in the solo lane. You want to be in that 4 let's get something with some 4 power on it for Braxis. That's the Condemn, or the Convection Kael'thas, finally.
Okay.
Great place for it. Gul'dans with Corruption. Ariels, if you're interested in that sort of thing. Any manaless hero is going to do pretty well here.
All right.
You like Zarya?
I do not.
It's an honest answer.
I do not like Zarya. I mean, I can play her if it comes to it, but I don't. It's not my jam. Not my jam. Yeah. I mean, you've seen my pattern now, so we're getting on to Braxis here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? Am I being too stubborn? Is there anything that I should really button down and learn?
The only thing, because you're going to have that Ariel, and it will be a battery off of Kael'thas, we need some point control in there, so let's go ahead and throw you Lich King.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'm concerned developing here is that you aren't in control of any of the sustain throughout your matches, and tank is a very difficult role compared to spellcaster. Spellcasters have the least amount of worries because they're always poking out. It's a very safe role, and if you're nervous, you can still spellcast well. When it comes to Braxis, these fights can last a very long time, and I'd like you to have a sustain pick so you can take the risks with your game knowledge that other people won't while holding those points.
So what sustain should I be working on?
Whatever has enough poke, honestly. Vala, Zul'jin, those sort of departments. I mean, even Zagar is a little bit of that, but people don't want to see her in a 4 lane.
Right. Vala, I like pretty much only on Infernal Shrines, and also I just so rarely even get to pick her because she's so contested. Zul'jin I can get behind.
Zul'jin works really well here because we talked about him a little bit earlier. He has that come at me bro sort of personality on him, stacking his damage with his level 1 quest, and as people try to force themselves onto the pad, he has decent survivability. Of course, the dingo at the end of it if he just needs to hold for 5 seconds or so.
Yeah. Okay.
We got some suggestions from the chat, and we do have to talk about him, of course, here. Gul'dan. I think Gul'dan is the hardest spellcaster to play. Completely anecdotal.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I've kind of stayed away from him as well. Him and Chromie for me. Like when we got the rapid succession of the original 3 mages of Jaina, Kael'thas, and Li Ming, I took to them just like immediately and had no issue. And since then, Chromie and Gul'dan I've just stayed away from. They've never clicked with me.
And nothing wrong with that. We bring up Gul'dan because this is a sustain sort of environment where Nazeebo might be successful, but now we've gone on a 2-lane map, so Gul'dan gains more viability. If that kind of helps people out there sort of work through drafting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, other sustained heroes. I had a lot of fun on Braxis the other day as a Tassadar. Again, this was a quick match, but
I still think Tassadar could be very powerful here, but this is probably the place where you'll make your biggest drafting mistakes with Tassadar, just because of the 2-lane. Is Tassadar solo lane? We're all, community's still a little confused. He's not, by the way. He can do it okay. But they don't willingly take it, is my experience.
Right. Like, and I'm surprised that, like, where did that even come from? Why do people see Tassadar and are like, okay, you're going solo? Like, wait, no, get someone else up there.
Excellent. We got a good pile of picks there. Let's talk about Hanamura, the earliest game map we have. Bribe is unlawfully good here. Mobile point control is an odd one that is kind of like our point controls, but different. And it's that 4-1 lane split, as people like to do.
Yeah. So we've already got Li Ming in there. We've already got Zagar in there. I feel like we need to like a slap an asterisk on Zagar that just says later in the draft. But
depends. It depends what you ban first, actually, on Hanamura right now. It's a mind game. If you ban out Siegers, Zagara will likely be a first pick, in fact. If you ban Azmodan, the other enemy team will likely go Sylvanas, or maybe even get rid of Zagara. If you ban Brightwing first, enemy team will get rid of Falstad. So you sort of want to sneak in whatever is the opposite, the other kind of strategy that you're not running.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. And Sylvanas, I'm always comfortable taking Sylvanas. I will take her at the drop of a hat. And in a scenario where you're going for this type of utility pusher specialist in a first pick environment because of the map, because we're talking Hanamura here, I would probably go with Sylvanas over Zagara. Even though I feel more comfortable on Zagara, I still feel very comfortable on Sylvanas, and I feel it will tilt my team less, even on Hanamura. Maybe we're getting too deep into my experiences and my rank, but
no, not at all. In fact, you've just married two thoughts: that you want to be in the 4-man lane and you want to be a pusher here. So you don't want to be Zagara by yourself. Sylvanas absolutely is in the 4-man lane.
Yeah, and again, perfectly fine being by myself on Zagara if I have to. But I had that game last week where I just broke even against an Azmodan all game and got blamed for the loss.
Let's go ahead and give you a Convection Kael'thas, just in case you get an Ariel.
Sure thing.
Battlefield of Eternity is our final map. PvE objective here is king. It is often a 1-4 split. There is potential to stay in soak, so some oddities may come through in very strong ways, like Samuro, Probius, even, as these characters are able to really occupy that solo lane safely, push hard perhaps, while still having a pretty big impact on the actual objective.
It's funny you mentioned Samuro as a hero I keep returning to time and time again. If you remember the last time we did this exercise, you put Samuro as homework for me. And this week, for whatever reason, I found myself kind of dancing back to him almost on a daily basis. I know it's Tuesday. I'm talking like weekend and everything. I kept coming back to him, and I've come to the realization that I overall don't really enjoy playing Samuro, but I have a blast on him on Battlefield.
It sets a good rhythm for him. Samuro is very easy to play on Battlefield because your job at each time is very clear.
Yeah. I found myself very frequently just laning and just watching what my team was doing, because I found the team at multiple times this week when I ended up on Battlefield as Samuro going to defend, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to pick up my stuff and attack the Immortal because my team's keeping them busy, and it worked flawlessly.
And if they chose to defend, you go soak the lane and get yourself a level lead, and then they leave and you come back. It's a really great rhythm. You can take all the Merc camps by yourself. I like them a lot here too. Probably not the best idea just in terms of practice to run a one-trick pony on a single map, but nothing wrong with it if you absolutely feel like you can keep the practice up.
Well, Vala's my one-trick pony on this map as well.
Yours and everybody else's, sir. Yeah. I played a Vala on Battlefield this afternoon in a ranked environment. It's just what you do if you're first pick.
Yeah, it's fine, and it's easy. This is a PvE map. Just keep yourself safe.
No, it's so much easier now that we know that Monster Hunter is the build, and you don't have to toy around with this. Am I doing it wrong? Kind of someone out there still offended that we're doing Monster Hunter, but darn it, the numbers are in.
Q build, do it. So, other than that, on Battlefield, still a place I love taking my Sylvanas if I get the chance.
We learned through those graphs of the previous week that Sylvanas does excellent PvE damage, which is really frightening given all of her other skills. Yeah,
no, Sylvanas is just a boss on Battlefield. And this is a place I like Li Ming, as you know, if we have enough damage already, if we already picked up something like a Vala or a Sylvanas or even a Samuro, if I don't need to pick up the DPS for the Immortal.
And Li Ming does a decent job with that too, with the Magic Missile build. It's just over time she's lost all her other toolkit abilities that it can be an overinvestment, as you say, if not drafted correctly.
Well, absolutely. If you're Li Ming's good if you find yourself not being able to engage on the Immortal that you're trying to damage. But if you can, and your team is expecting Li Ming to carry, and you end up in a race environment, you're most likely going to lose that race. But if you're not in a race and you're having to dance around, that's when you want the Li Ming, because you can just fire shots into the Immortal past the defense.
I feel like there's a lot of people kind of sitting on the sides going, is Li Ming good again? Can I play heroes? Like, they just love her. They love her so much. And I think your time's coming. If we see a Genji nerf, Malthael has brought Li Ming back in a very real way. Her health pool is small, meaning he's not doing effective huge damage like he does to a tank in comparison. And her poke is so strong, he can't get the first hit in.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's still very niche. I think of Li Ming is your jam, is your pick. There are certain scenarios, and I think we've detailed them here actually because I like her so much. I think this is a good example of when you should take her. But I don't think she's a blind pick hero, and I don't think you should be first picking Li Ming.
No, and she's gonna invite all sorts of stealth things. The chat's talking about that same list we were talking about earlier. I'll go ahead and reference it in the show notes as well if people didn't catch it on a previous week. But Rhaegar was listed as the #1 early game DPS on that Immortal, but I have not seen a single first pick Rhaegar here.
Nope. And it's early game, so I mean, yeah, the games do go relatively short, but when we're talking early game, we're talking up until level 7.
Yeah,
like your Battlefield of Eternity is going past level 7
for the most part.
I'm trying to go for the heroes that have good damage early game and better damage in the mid from like 7 to 15 range.
Excellent. Well, we have yourself a roster there. I see a lot of Lich Kings. I see a lot of Sylvanas, and a lot of Sonya, a lot of KT. There's some really good opportunities for you to make a solid roster out of this. And I might even cut the fluff now that you've gone through like this. Find the singles. Cross out Zul. Cross out Greymane. They're just not going to get played enough. Maybe even get rid of that Falstad.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Subtlety. This is your personal performance, remember? Only you impact yourself in Hero League. You can't expect to heal. I know if I'm Tassadar, I'm not giving it to you. I need those for myself.
I'm not dealing with Tassadar unless I'm already behind the wall and someone's like Indiana Jones need to grab their fedora to escape.
Right, or you're on comms and you say, here it comes, and they say thank you and everything's great. But
yeah, we're not on comms over in Hero League, so anyways.
The last thing I would say, go through your list now. You've got yourself a beautiful roster. Write down the main ones. Write down how many times you picked each one. Circle the top 3. Figure out how they lane clear. What's the most effective way to do it? Learn it. If you lane clear faster than your opponents, you now have spare time. If you can lane clear, go do something else. Take that mercenary camp. Lanes come together. You're back. Guess what? People like to laugh at the NA for not being too good. Their average game time in professional scene is about 18 minutes. People really like watching China and Korea. Their average game time is 16 minutes. Guess how they do it? They do everything a little bit faster. That's how you should do it too.
I like that. It's a good place to put your brain. Dig it. Well, thank you for this, Kyle. I very much appreciate it. Any glaring thing like what's I'm curious, like across, you don't have to go map by map, but like what's your big pick right now? Is it still Zul Jin?
I can't first pick Zul Jin because of blinds. He is 100% countered in my mind by Artanis because that blind is 4 seconds.
Take first pick, crumple it up, throw it away. Cool. We're not talking first pick.
If we are completely removing first pick entirely from the scenario, Zul Jin is 100% my most practiced main right now. He is a late game hero. So is Nazeebo, my other main. So I am currently in the market for an early game hero. I've been going Greymane. I'm not sold, but I also play support now. So I have Ariel as my early game hero, particularly on those 2 lane maps. I do a lot of supporting now, and that is a real surprise to me. I never pictured I always played tank in Dota. It's an interesting situation.
I'm the complete opposite. You know me. I was supporting like crazy when we got into this, and I never thought I'd play a bunch of warriors. But like, if I have Devarian, cool. Sonya, fine. And Uberak, put me on it. Arthas, I'm a pig and poo.
There was a great quote from this past weekend's HGC, which basically brought up that melees are going to be your hardest classes because you have to know every ability that could impact you. If you're at range, those abilities might fly through the air, giving you time to dodge. You also have more time to analyze the situation as you go in, and you're just safer from more things. So the best players should probably be the melee assassins and the tanks. I find for me, as I was mentioning earlier, that my assassins in Diamond aren't risky enough. They play like bursts. They're always dancing around looking for something to make them comfy. And you can't trust your supports. You don't know who they are. You don't know if they've had a bad day. Who knows? So that's why I end up on things like Zul'jin and like Nazeebo. I want to take care of myself and be able to take merc camps.
Okay. All right. I can see all that. And I like I dug, because we didn't do this last time, right? We didn't have a discussion right at the top about first pick. So
yeah.
I like kind of get out of the way, because that's always something that it's important for the map, but I think it's also important from the point of your team's morale, which is something I know you and I bring up a lot on this show. But that's kind of what the first pick is. It's this declaration. It sets the tone for the draft.
Right. It helps inform the comp, but ultimately it's that encouraging factor that the OP hero has been removed. We have so many heroes that interact with strongly with the maps that can be more powerful than others. You always have to be on top of this. Until we have swaps in Hero League, you have to know how to play at least Malthael right now. I think you can convince everyone to ban out Genji, but I'd still be a decent Genji.
All right. I guess I got to be a decent Genji.
Do it, man. It's not hard. It's not too hard once you get the rhythm down.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, let's wrap this up with an email and take it home.
Darkness stopped calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. Miggy S. writes in this week and says, "Hey guys, big fan of the show. I wanted to ask a few questions about our favorite orc warlock, Gul'dan. Recently opened him from a box. I went to Icy Veins. It showed me two viable builds, the Corruption build and the Fellflame build. I've tried both now, and they seem quite effective. My first question would be, when and where should I use one build versus the other?" He said that the Fellflame build seems the more spammy and great for pushing out lanes, and the Corruption build seems like it's more for a teamfight-centric style of play. Second question would be, do you think Reign of Chaos needs a small buff? For example, making Gul'dan invulnerable while channeling. This would allow the heroic to be more useful, as its damage is already inconsistent as it is. As always, keep up the great work. Love the show.
So let's tackle the first part of that, which is which of these two builds should I use when? Because both are very viable. And in fact, if you want to Fellflame forever, that's okay right now. Echo of Corruption used to be the go-to. People get mad if they didn't see it. Now it's your go-to on the 1/4s. Hanamura, Braxis. Fellflame is really good, solid, sustained damage that just rolls out over and over again. Ariels everyone's gonna like it. I prefer when I'm on Ariel here in the Gul'dan that they give me Corruption, so that if the things limp away, I'm still just basking in hope.
Bask in hope, Kyle. You paladin, you.
But honestly, nothing wrong with a Fellflame build in most cases, and in fact, it's a lot easier, and just like our Kael'thas, it's a little less tilting if things start getting a little behind.
Yeah. Gul'dan. It's all these shiny new mages, man. All these new age hipster mages. Just never got into them.
It's tough. He's very complicated, and heroes come out fast. So stick to what you're passionate about. Nothing wrong. You don't have to have every hero. The Reign of Chaos. So the way you would ideally use this spell is that you have a boss pushing or some sort of objective beast, and in some very safe area in the distance, you Reign of Chaos on top of it so people can't get up on it and cause damage. This is a horrible, horrible teamfight ult. You would never, ever want to stop your sustained damage to do this thing. It would be more that it is too dangerous for you to do your thing normally, so you're going to participate. by throwing in the rain. Just to horrify.
Yeah, well, I think the kind of what Mickey's getting into here is if no one's taking it, what does it need?
And is it called? No, it's called Reign of Destruction. Okay, our email here called it Reign of Chaos, but I knew that wasn't right because Reign of Chaos has Infernals in it, and I'm still waiting for my damn Dreadlord, Blizzard. you have no. It's gonna be so broken, but you have no idea how badly I want Vampiric Aura in this game. I love it's just something. I don't know, man. It takes me back. Something about a bunch of melee suddenly going, what? I have lifesteal now? Awesome. Auras are cool.
That they are. But back to Reign of Destruction. I mean, what do? You up the damage? You make it like not a like. Why does he have to channel, man? Like why you got to do it? Like Tyrande doesn't have to channel her Starfall.
That's true. That is a lot smaller, a lot more dangerous than. There's stuff I'd like to see done. Things that I think would be fun. I think dangerously fun would be to make it controllable. So you set up a zone, and now in that area, you get to go click, 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 click as many times, once per second, whatever, and just like choose the rain, almost like Ragnaros, but except for you're just clicking.
Oh my god, I love it. So you get to target your meteors.
Right, and maybe they can't occupy the previous hexes they just did until you click another one or something overcomplicated like that. The problem with that, of course, is that is way more fun than Horrify, and everyone would just throw the game so they could take the fun ult.
They should make it like Sylvanas' Q. You just hold down your click, and it just like machine gun fires, and you can just trace where you want them.
Yeah, there you go. Super easy.
I think it still needs a radius, or it's ridiculous. But yeah, so maybe you click it, you hover, it gives you your radial arrow, and you. Like once you select, that's the area from within that you can draw, aim your meteors. But that sounds absurd, by the way. I'm just excited and want it now.
You have to get out an N64 controller and spin it like you're playing Mario Party. Actually, that'd be kind of... Can you imagine?
How do you spin an N64 controller?
No, you played Mario Party, right?
Like one forever once because for some reason... We forgot GoldenEye existed for 5 minutes.
Booze Bicycle, Tug of War.
I got nothing.
You ever bore a hole in the middle of your hand trying to get that thing to spin as hard as you can?
Oh, so are you? Oh, you're saying the joystick.
I'm saying that Blizzard should invest in peripherals that we have to press. And I don't know how long. I remember seeing this thing in college. I never bought it because I was a college student. But it was a USB doomsday device where you'd flip up the little protective cover and press the button for your ultimates in World of Warcraft or whatever you want to program it to.
I distinctly remember seeing that as well. And also basically the same line of thinking, that's really cool, I need that, and then never thinking about it again.
Also, it would be really weird just sitting on a college laptop and next to
it. Yeah, but it's cool, and you need it, just like a GG button.
Yeah. Did you ever have one of those friends that had a force feedback joystick? Wouldn't stop talking about it?
I mean, I had friends with joysticks. I had a really cheap joystick I got from Big Lots, but it let me play a TIE Fighter just fine.
I was given a joystick when my parents got me Mega Man. And that made no sense. And I actually gave it my all. They're like jumping by snapping this thing forward.
That sounds... awful, but good on you for putting in the honest try to make your parents happy about what they bought you.
I didn't know any better at the time.
That's freaking hilarious. Oh, that's so good. Well, Mickey, thank you for writing in. And again, everyone, send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. That's bringing us to the end of the episode. Just a reminder, it is coming to you a little early this week. You're probably seeing it pop up on your podcast feed on Wednesday. No show this Thursday. We will see you next week on Thursday, July 6th, after Kyle and I wake up from our hot dog hangovers, thanks to July 4th.
How American.
Yes. Any July 4th plans? You gonna lose a finger to a explosive device?
Dude, you know that. I mean, Washington goes nuts for 4th of July, and it has nothing to do with like the hippie culture, because you know how they feel about government and stuff. But it's more that it's wet as heck out here, and people can just set off whatever the heck they want, and nothing's gonna catch fire.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see if they're going to continue count us as in a drought again this year, because they have for like the last decade, and it's been pouring oceans for the last 3 weeks in a row.
What, the bottle rock is going to land in a swamp and burn the moss?
Thank you, Kyle. You're seeing my point. It's Florida. What the hell's wrong with you? Yeah, we can drive one county south and get whatever we want.
Nice.
Specifically, this county is really stringent with fireworks. But hey, whatever.
I got all those old people and small dogs.
Yep. But hey, to all of our U.S. listeners out there, have a happy 4th. To all of our Canadian listeners, I believe you are celebrating your independence this week. So enjoy that. And let's thank our patrons again over at patreon.com/ITN. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to our producers, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, and Mythdoll. Catch us live usually Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. Follow us on Twitter at ITNcast. Thanks to Gorath for our intro music, BrianGriffithMusic.com for our outro music. And we've got Into the Nexus shirts you can buy at shirts.amove.tv. So go check that out. Kyle, where can folks find you when you're, not doing this specific Heroes content and probably doing other Heroes content?
You can find me this week. I'll point everybody to KyleFergusson.com, where you can find everything: coaching, vidges, and of course that podcast I mentioned earlier, Solo QA Cast. If you would like a once-a-month little update on how my Hero League's going, and that gets a little more heady, as it isn't a news show and more of a think piece.
Cool. Well, folks, you can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt. I'll try to post some pictures from Spectacular. I'm notoriously terrible about taking pictures when I'm doing things, but I'll do my best. I'm also on there, complaining about air travel and things like that. So check it out. amove.tv is where you can find all of the podcasts I do, including this one. So go check that out. Plenty of other fine Blizzard shows over there. And Embrace the Spoilers is coming back for Game of Thrones Season 7. So if you aren't subscribed to Embrace the Spoilers, go and look that up. Jocelyn and I will be putting our theory pants on as we move towards the final season of Game of Thrones.
Congratulations to you guys for your successful launch.
Yeah, the Kickstarter was successful today, as a matter of fact. Woke up to that. It was good.
That's
awesome. Good. Started up today with a completed Kickstarter, which is always great, and ended the day with Into the Nexus, which is also great, especially after air travel BS. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to my podcast hosts and podcast listeners for that. That's going to wrap it up for the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the early show. Get out there and make your rosters. You will be quizzed. You will be quizzed. Get out those notepads. Do it. Have a good time. And until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.